Before you toss that 5-cent Jefferson nickel or drop it into your car's cup holder, piggy bank, or coin purse, stop. Some of these nickels are not just ordinary coins, they are ultra-rare error coins worth serious money today. We're talking about nickels that can be worth tens of thousands, even over $100,000. These special coins happen because of mistakes made at the US Mint long ago, and finding one could be like striking gold. The top 3 ultra-rare Jefferson nickel error coins are hidden all over, maybe in your house, car, big piggy banks, or even loose in your wallet. These nickels might look normal at first glance, but with a little careful checking, you could find something very valuable. Whether it's a coin struck on the wrong metal, a double design, or a nickel bigger or smaller than usual, these errors make collectors pay big bucks. So if you've got a dusty coin jar, a car full of change, or a cluttered coin purse, don't spend or toss those nickels just yet. Grab a magnifying glass and watch closely. Your next nickel could be worth enough to buy a car, a house, or more. Keep watching to learn exactly what to look for and how to spot these amazing coins. The 1990 D Jefferson nickel was made in Denver. That's what the D stands for. You'll see that small letter just under the date on the coin. Because so many were made, most people think they aren't worth much. But that's not true for every coin. Some nickels from 1990 are extremely rare. They might have special features or errors that make them worth big money. Even a regular 1990 D nickel in perfect condition, with no scratches or marks, can be valuable. If the coin has never been used and looks brand new, collectors call it mint state. These coins can be worth $50 to $200 or more, just for being in great shape. But it gets even better. If your coin is not only in great condition, but it also has something called full steps, then it becomes even more valuable. On the back of the nickel, at the bottom of Monticello, you can see some stairs. On most coins, those stairs are blurry or worn down. But sometimes, the coin is struck so well that all the steps are sharp and clear. You can count 5 or even 6 full steps. That's very rare. A 1990 D nickel with full steps in mint condition can sell for $1,000 to $5,000. If it's in almost perfect condition, it could go for even more. Now let's talk about what really makes a nickel go from valuable to super rare. We're talking about mint errors. These are coins that were made by mistake. But instead of being thrown out, they ended up in circulation. These mistake coins are worth a lot of money to collectors. One kind of error is called a double die. That means the coin was stamped more than once, but not lined up right. If you look closely at the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even the numbers in the date and see that the letters look doubled or fuzzy, that might be a double die. These coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another rare mistake is an off-center strike. That's when the coin wasn't placed right when it was made. Part of the design will be missing or moved. The more off-center it is, the more it might be worth. If the date is still fully visible, that makes it even better. Some of these coins can sell for $500 or more. If it's really off-center and in great condition, it might sell for over $1,000 or even a few $1,000s. There are also nickels with something called a clipped planchet error. That means part of the coin looks like it was cut off or has a bite taken out of it. This happens when the metal sheet was punched wrong at the mint. These coins can be worth a few $100s or even more depending on the size of the clip and the shape of the coin. The most exciting error is a wrong planchet strike. That means the nickel was made on the wrong type of metal blank. For example, a nickel might have been made on a blank meant for a dime or a foreign coin. These are super rare. If you find one, it could be worth $10,000, $20,000, or even over $100,000 depending on what type of blank it was struck on and what condition it's in. Sometimes, coins also have strike-through errors. That means something like a piece of fabric, grease, or metal was between the stamp and the coin when it was made. These can cause strange lines, dents, or missing parts of the design. If the error is clear and big, collectors will pay good money for it. Some strike-through errors can go for a few $100 to a few $1,000. Even if your coin has no errors, it might still be valuable if it's in amazing condition. Coins are graded from 1 to 70. A coin graded 70 is perfect. If your 1990 D nickel gets a grade of 67 or 68, especially with full steps, it can be worth a lot. Only a few coins get grades that high. If yours does, you might be sitting on something worth 5,000, 10,000, or more. So how do you know if your nickel is rare or valuable? First, look at the date. It should say 1990. Then look under the date for the letter D. That means it was made in Denver. Flip the coin over and look at the steps on Monticello. Can you see all the steps clearly? Count them. If you can see 5 or 6 full steps with no breaks, that's a good sign. Now check the rest of the coin. Does it look new and shiny? Are there any scratches or marks? Are the edges smooth and clean? If so, your coin might be in mint state. Then look for anything weird or different. Are the letters doubled? Is the design off-center? Does the coin look like it's missing a piece? Does it feel too light or too heavy? All of these could be signs of a rare error. If you think your coin might be special, it's a good idea to weigh it. A normal nickel should weigh about 5 grams. If your coin weighs less or more than that, it might be a wrong planchet error. That's a big deal. The best way to find out what your coin is worth is to have it graded. You can send it to a company like PCGS or NGC. They'll check the coin, give it a grade, and put it in a special case. This helps you sell it later if you want to, and it makes buyers trust that it's real. People all over the world find rare coins in their pocket change, coin jars, or bank rolls. It happens more than you think. And guess what? Many of these people are not coin experts. They're just regular folks like you who took the time to look a little closer. So next time you see a 1990 D nickel, don't just spend it right away. Take a minute to check the date, the mint mark, the condition, and the details. That little coin could be worth more than you ever imagined. Now, the Jefferson nickel has been around for a long time. It was first made back in 1938 and has been in regular use ever since. On the front of the coin, there's a picture of Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and the third U.S. president. On the back, you'll see his home, Monticello. Most people don't pay much attention to nickels because they don't seem special. But some of them are. Some of them are extremely rare and can be worth life-changing amounts of money. Let's talk about 1965. This year is important because something big happened at the U.S. Mint. Back then, people were hoarding coins, especially silver ones, because the price of silver was going up. That caused a coin shortage. So the Mint made some big changes. They removed silver from dimes and quarters and also stopped putting mint marks on coins for a few years. They did this to stop people from saving coins just because they were from certain mints. But during all of this change, mistakes happened. And those mistakes are what can make your 1965 Jefferson nickel worth a fortune. One of the biggest types of valuable mistakes is something called a wrong planchet error. A planchet is just a fancy word for the blank metal piece used to make the coin. In 1965, nickels were supposed to be made from a mix of copper and nickel. But sometimes, by mistake, a 1965 nickel was struck on a silver planchet or even on a planchet meant for a dime. These errors are extremely rare. Imagine a 1965 nickel made from silver when it was supposed to be regular metal. That kind of coin can sell for 5,000, 10,000, or even more depending on how well it was made and how good its condition is. Some collectors are willing to pay a lot of money for these because they are so hard to find. One known example of a nickel from that time, struck on the wrong metal, sold for over $30,000. And experts believe there are still more out there just waiting to be found. Yours could be one of them. Another thing to look for is something called a double die error. This happens when the coin gets stamped with the design more than once, but the two images don't line up exactly. That causes letters or numbers to look like they are doubled. If you see doubling in the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or even the date 1965, you might have a valuable error coin. These can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how strong the doubling is and how clean the coin looks. Also, some 1965 nickels were made off-center. That means the coin was not lined up right when it was stamped, and the image or words are not in the right place. These off-center coins can be worth a few hundred to over $1,000 depending on how far off the design is and if the full date is still visible. Here's another secret about Jefferson nickels that many people don't know. On the back of the coin, at the bottom of Monticello, there are steps. If you can clearly see all 5 or 6 steps, without any damage or blurriness, your coin might be a full steps nickel. Collectors love full steps coins because they show that the coin was struck perfectly. A 1965 Jefferson nickel with full steps in top condition can sell for thousands of dollars. And if it's combined with an error like the ones we talked about earlier, the price could go way up. Now, you're probably wondering how to tell if your nickel is one of the valuable ones. First, you need to check the date, look for 1965. Then look closely at the coin. A simple magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe can help. Check the words, the numbers, the steps on Monticello. Does anything look doubled? Are the steps super clear? Is the coin off-center? Does it feel different in weight? A normal Jefferson nickel weighs about 5 grams. If your 1965 nickel weighs less or more than that, it could be made from the wrong metal. That's a huge sign you might have a rare error coin. And don't forget, from 1965 to 1967, the mint didn't put mint marks on the coins. That means no little letters like D or S to tell you where the coin was made. So if you see a 1965 nickel with a mint mark, that's a red flag. It could mean something unusual, or it might be fake. Always double-check with experts if you find something weird. Speaking of fakes, yes, they do exist. When money is involved, some people will try to change or fake coins to trick others. Some fake coins have added mint marks or are altered to look like errors. This is why it's so important to send your coin to a professional grading service if you think it's valuable. Services like PCGS or NGC can examine your coin, tell you exactly what it is, and give it an official grade. This not only proves it's real but also increases the value if you ever want to sell it. Now let's talk about some real-life examples. There are Jefferson nickels from the 1960s that have sold for eye-popping prices. One nickel from 1964, struck on a silver planchet, sold for more than $30,000. Another Jefferson nickel from the 1950s with full steps and in perfect condition went for over $35,000. So even if your nickel isn't from 1965, it could still be very valuable. That's why it's always worth checking every old coin you find. And here's the exciting part, most of these rare coins were found by regular people. Not coin experts. Not dealers. Just normal folks going through their change or cleaning out an old jar of coins. That means it could happen to you. Maybe it already has, and you just don't know it yet. You don't need to spend money to find valuable coins. You just need to pay attention. Look at every nickel you come across. Take a minute to study it. Hold on to it if something looks off. You never know, one of those coins could change your life. If you want to get serious about coin hunting, start collecting nickels from your change and set them aside by year. Get a small scale to weigh them. Use a magnifier to check for tiny details. Join coin groups online and share photos to get help from others. And if you ever find a coin that seems special, consider getting it graded. That little step could turn a 5-cent piece into something worth thousands. So now you know why the 1965 Jefferson nickel is not just a regular coin. It could be a hidden treasure. Maybe the one sitting in your wallet right now is worth a fortune. These nickels are out there. They're real. And they're still being found today. Keep your eyes open, check your coins, and never assume that an old nickel isn't worth anything. Because as we've seen, that one small coin could be worth $50,000, $75,000, or even over $100,000, just for being made a little differently. Well, get ready, because we're talking about the 1975 D. Jefferson nickel, a coin that might seem boring at first glance, but some rare versions are worth massive money. And yes, some of these coins have sold for so much, they could easily buy a car, pay off debt, or even put a down payment on a house. So, stay with me until the very end of this video. I'm going to show you how this everyday 5-cent coin could turn into a life-changing treasure, and how to tell if the one you're holding is one of the rarest nickels in U.S. history. Now, let's get into it. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938. It was created to honor President Thomas Jefferson, with his portrait on the front and his famous home, Monticello, on the back. The coin is made mostly of copper and nickel and has been produced for decades. But not all nickels are the same. Some years, something strange happens. And in 1975, at the Denver Mint, that's what the D stands for, some very rare and valuable versions of the Jefferson nickel were made by mistake. Even though millions of 1975 D nickels were made, just a tiny number of them have special features or minting errors that make them extremely valuable to collectors. Some of these coins are so rare that they have sold for $5,000, $15,000, even $35,000 or more. And experts believe that a perfect condition example, especially one with a full strike and rare error, could one day sell for over $100,000. Yes, one nickel, 6 figures. So what makes the 1975 D nickel so special? It all comes down to rare minting mistakes, also called error coins, and the coin's overall condition. First, let's talk about one of the most important things that can make a Jefferson nickel valuable. It's called the full steps designation. On the back of the coin, under Monticello, you'll see a set of steps. On most coins, these steps look soft, worn, or blurry, even when the coin is new. But if the coin was struck very clearly and the steps are sharp and well-defined, showing 5 or 6 full steps with no breaks, then that coin is considered full steps, and collectors love that. Full steps coins from 1975 are already hard to find. But a 1975 D. Jefferson nickel with full steps in mint condition? That's extremely rare. One of these coins in top-grade condition has sold for more than $10,000, and prices keep climbing as collectors try to find the best examples. Now, let's talk about errors, and this is where things get really exciting. One rare type of error is called a double die. This happens when the coin gets stamped more than once, but not in the exact same spot. If you look at the date, the word Liberty, or In God We Trust, and you see any doubling of the letters or numbers, you might be looking at a valuable double die error. These can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially in high grade. Another type of rare error is called an off-center strike. That's when the design is not centered properly, and part of the coin looks blank or stretched. If your 1975 D nickel is off-center and the full date is still visible, it could sell for $500 to over $2,000, depending on how off-center it is. Then there's the most exciting error of all, the wrong planchet error. A planchet is the blank piece of metal used to make a coin. Sometimes, by mistake, the mint strikes a coin on the wrong type of planchet. For example, if a 1975 D nickel was struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign coin planchet, it can be worth a fortune. These errors are extremely rare, and examples like this have sold for $10,000 to $30,000, and some rare ones even more. There's also the clipped planchet error, where a small piece of the coin looks like it's been cut off or bitten. These coins can sell for a few hundred to a few $1,000s, depending on how dramatic the clip is and how clear the rest of the coin looks. Let's not forget about strike-through errors, where something like grease, a piece of wire, or even fabric gets in the way when the coin is being struck. That causes weird dents or marks on the coin that collectors love. Depending on how strange and unique the strike-through looks, it can bring in serious money, sometimes over $1,000. Now let's talk about some real-life examples. There are Jefferson nickels from the 1960s that have sold for eye-popping prices. One nickel from 1964, struck on a silver planchet, sold for more than $30,000. Another Jefferson nickel from the 1950s with full steps and in perfect condition went for over $35,000. So even if your nickel isn't from 1965, it could still be very valuable. That's why it's always worth checking every old coin you find. And here's the exciting part, most of these rare coins were found by regular people. Not coin experts. Not dealers. Just normal folks going through their change or cleaning out an old jar of coins. That means it could happen to you. Maybe it already has, and you just don't know it yet. You don't need to spend money to find valuable coins. You just need to pay attention. Look at every nickel you come across. Take a minute to study it. Hold on to it if something looks off. You never know, one of those coins could change your life. If you want to get serious about coin hunting, start collecting nickels from your change and set them aside by year. Get a small scale to weigh them. Use a magnifier to check for tiny details. Join coin groups online and share photos to get help from others. And if you ever find a coin that seems special, consider getting it graded. That little step could turn a 5-cent piece into something worth thousands. So now you know why the 1965 Jefferson nickel is not just a regular coin. It could be a hidden treasure. Maybe the one sitting in your wallet right now is worth a fortune. These nickels are out there. They're real. And they're still being found today. Keep your eyes open, check your coins, and never assume that an old nickel isn't worth anything. Because as we've seen, that one small coin could be worth $50,000, $75,000, or even over $100,000, just for being made a little differently.